Just prior to 5 a.m. on the 13th of June 2020, Essex Police were called to reports of a shooting in Water Lane Roydon near Harlow. Upon arrival, Robert Powell, aged 50, was found having been shot 8 times and later died in hospital. In the hours leading up to Robert's murder, he had been present at a party where approximately 100 people were there. 2 young women were also taken to hospital, having been caught in the crossfire.
4 murder trials, 4 times he walked free. For over 20 years, one man terrorized East London's underworld, leaving a trail of bodies in his wake. He earned the nickname the Teflon Don because nothing stuck, not the evidence, not the witnesses, not justice itself. Until one execution, 8 bullets in the dead of night, finally brought him down. Caught hiding in a lorry with a fake passport, halfway across the world, his 2-decade run was over. This is the true story of Nana Oppong, East London's deadliest gangster, and the crime that ended his reign. Welcome back to True Crime Page, where we dig beneath the surface of Britain's most dangerous underworld stories. The crimes built on greed, power, and secrets worth killing for. If you're new here, and you're drawn to unfiltered true crime stories that refuse to fade into silence, subscribe, turn on notifications, and join a community committed to uncovering the cases others would rather forget. Plaistow, East London. A social gathering turns deadly. 27-year-old Jeremiah Oke is killed in a violent altercation. Witnesses point to a young man barely out of his teens. Nana Oppong, just 20 years old, already facing a murder charge that would send most men away for life. In March 2001, he stood trial at London's most famous criminal court, the Old Bailey. The prosecution presented their case, the witnesses testified, the evidence was laid out, and then, not guilty, acquitted, free to walk. The reasons remain unclear. Insufficient evidence, unreliable witnesses, the code of the streets, no snitching, no cooperation. But one thing was crystal clear. A pattern had been established. Nana Oppong could beat a murder charge. And in the world he operated in, that made him dangerous, untouchable, feared. He returned to the streets with something more valuable than money or drugs. He had a reputation. The early 2000s saw Oppong rise through the ranks of East London's criminal underworld. His drug operation expanded. His influence grew. But violence has a way of finding violent men. And on a spring night in 2010, it found Nana Oppong again. And this time there were 2 bodies. May 29th, 2010. The Sugar Lounge nightclub in Forest Gate. A birthday celebration is in full swing. Outside, in the warm spring air, partygoers spill onto the street. Laughter, music, life, and then, in an instant, chaos. Gunshots covered the night. When the smoke clears, 2 men lie dead on the pavement. Eugene Brown, 27, Patrick Ford, 36. A targeted hit, an execution, and this time the police had something they'd never had before. Video evidence. Crystal clear CCTV footage showing Nana Oppong standing right beside the shooter. An undeniable connection to a double homicide. Prosecutors were confident. This time they had him. This time the evidence was ironclad. This time would be different. The trial began. The footage was played. Witness after witness took the stand. The case seemed airtight. But after days of deliberation, the jury returned, not with a verdict, but with a statement. Hung jury. They couldn't reach a unanimous decision. Mistrial. The prosecution would have to try again. And they did. A second trial. The same evidence. The same CCTV footage. The same eyewitnesses. Surely this time justice would prevail. Surely this time 12 people could agree on what the camera so clearly showed. Hung jury again. 2 trials, 2 hung juries. The murder charges collapsed. Nana Oppong was about to walk free on double murder charges, even with video evidence placing him at the scene. But prosecutors weren't done. If they couldn't convict him of murder, they'd convict him of something else. During the trials, Oppong had testified that he didn't know the shooter, that he was just an innocent bystander, caught on camera. But the CCTV told a different story. The body language, the positioning, the coordination. This was no stranger. Guilty, perverting the course of justice, lying to the court about his relationship with a killer. 2 years in prison, not for murder, not even for conspiracy, just for lying about knowing someone. The scorecard now read, 3 murder trials, 0 murder convictions. The nickname was spreading through the underworld. The Teflon Don, named after the non-stick coating. Because nothing, not evidence, not witnesses, not even video, could make the charges stick. And when those 2 years were up, Nana Oppong walked back onto the streets of East London. Still dangerous, still untouchable, still free. May 2014, just a few years after the Sugar Lounge acquittal. A private party in Dagenham becomes the scene of another brutal attack. Outside the venue, a violent confrontation erupts. Witnesses later describe a vicious stabbing, frenzied, personal, deadly. Ashley Latty, 25 years old. He wouldn't survive the night. Once again, witnesses pointed to the same name, Nana Oppong. And once again, he was arrested for murder. Prosecutors knew his history. 3 murder trials, 0 convictions, but they pressed forward. This time would be different. 2015, the Old Bailey, his 4th murder trial in 16 years. The evidence was presented, the brutality of the attack detailed, the witnesses cross-examined, days turned into weeks. And then, the jury returned. After all the evidence, after all the testimony, the verdict on murder, not guilty, acquitted, again. 4 murder trials. 4 times he walked on the ultimate charge. But this time, there was a twist. Oppong admitted to a lesser charge, grievous bodily harm with intent. Guilty of GBH, 4 years in prison, not murder, not manslaughter. But prosecutors had finally secured something beyond perverting justice. The pattern was now undeniable. Murder charges? They'd never stick. Lesser charges? Maybe, if they were lucky. In the criminal underworld, Oppong's legend had reached mythic proportions. 4 bodies connected to him, 4 murder acquittals. The Teflon Don wasn't just a nickname anymore. It was a warning. Cross him, and he might kill you. Testify against him, and he'll walk free anyway. 4 more years behind bars. 4 more years to plan. 4 more years before he'd return to the only life he'd ever known. 2019, Nana Oppong walks free once again. Most men would keep their heads down, learn from their mistakes, leave the life behind. But Oppong wasn't most men. Within months, he was back in business. High-level drug dealing, Class A narcotics. The empire he'd built never really stopped. It just waited for his return. Cocaine, heroin, distribution networks stretching across East London and beyond. This wasn't street-level dealing anymore. This was organized crime. And business was good. For years, Oppong operated with the confidence of a man who'd beaten the system 4 times. Police knew he was active. They knew he was dangerous. But after 4 failed murder prosecutions, they needed something airtight. The months passed. 2019 became 2020. The world was changing. A global pandemic loomed. But even as the world shut down, the criminal underworld kept turning. Debts still needed collecting. Grudges still needed settling. And Nana Oppong? He had a dispute that needed resolving, a personal grievance, a score to settle. He began putting together a team, a driver, a spotter, a gunman. The operation was being planned with precision. A 9mm Luger semi-automatic pistol was acquired. A Ford Kuga with cloned license plates was prepared. The target was identified. April 2020. The Teflon Don was about to orchestrate his most brazen hit yet. But this time, everything he'd gotten away with before, the acquittals, the hung juries, the legend, would all come crashing down.
Our inquiries really centred on the location, speaking to witnesses, conducting forensic inquiries, using ballistics experts to try and piece together what happened at the point Robert was shot and the hours leading up to it. This was an extremely complex investigation because of the level of criminality that we were dealing with. Following initial inquiries, we received some information that led us to identifying 3 key vehicles that were involved in the murder, all of which played their part. A Ford Kuga was identified containing the individuals that physically shot Robert Powell, a second vehicle, a Vauxhall Zafira that was a supporting vehicle, and a third, a Prius, which we believe was there to look out for Robert Powell and identifying when he exited and left the party. Having identified the key vehicles, we then looked at where those vehicles went following the murder. The Kuga and the Zafira then went to a nearby industrial unit in Epping, where the Kuga was left and then later picked up some hours afterwards. Having received this information about the vehicles, we started to build our case looking at CCTV at the scene, ANPR activity, intelligence, and lots of inquiries with other agencies around the UK. This led us to identifying key individuals who we nominated as suspects in the inquiry. Through analysis of CCTV, ANPR, and with assistance from the National Crime Agency, we identified EncroChat encrypted phones that were linked to key suspects in this inquiry. We identified over 1,000 telephones within the course of the inquiry and submitted over 300 telephone applications. Some of the phones that we identified could only be described as burner phones and were purchased purely and solely for this crime. The evidence that we obtained from the EncroChat telephones showed that Nana Oppong was involved in the high-end supply of Class A controlled drugs. He pleaded 2 offences linked to this during the trial. Other evidence that we obtained from the EncroChat handles showed that Nana Oppong was in conversations with others in the weeks leading up to the murder about firearms and ammunition. This, with other evidence, identified that a week prior to the murder, attempts were made to locate Robert Powell at a party in London, using the same key vehicles that we used in the murder. Other than the date of the attempt and the murder itself, both the Vauxhall and the Ford Kuga were not ever seen on ANPR or any other activity across the UK, so they were solely used for the purpose of trying to locate and kill Robert Powell. In the days following the murder, we received information to suggest that the suspects had fled the country, knowing that they were sought by UK law enforcement.
April 13th, 2020. The early hours of the morning. Water Lane, Roydon, Essex. A quiet, rural area. The kind of place where nothing ever happens. Outside Hill's house, a private party is coming to an end. Music fades. Guests say their goodbyes. People head to their cars. Among them is Robert Powell, 50 years old, a music industry manager. His client, Dutchavelli, a UK rapper who'd recently hit the top 10 with Stormzy. Powell walks toward his vehicle with his 2 adult sons, a normal end to a normal night, or so it seemed. Out of the darkness, a vehicle approaches, a Ford Kuga, license plates cloned. Inside, a team assembled for one purpose. The window rolls down. In the early morning air, everything moves in slow motion, and then 8 shots ring out. A 9mm Luger semi-automatic unleashes hell on Water Lane. 15 bullet wounds. Some bullets passed clean through Powell's body and re-entered. The precision of an execution. 2 women were also hit, bleeding, terrified, but alive. They would survive to tell what they saw. Robert Powell was rushed to hospital. Critical condition, fighting for his life. But some battles can't be won. The next day, surrounded by his family, Robert Powell died from his injuries. A father, a professional, a victim. Essex police launched a murder investigation. CCTV was pulled, witnesses interviewed, vehicle registrations traced. The Ford Kuga with cloned plates, a Toyota Prius also at the scene. Slowly, the operation's scale became clear. This wasn't a random shooting. This was organized, planned. Spotters had tracked Powell's movements. Drivers positioned the vehicles. A gunman executed the hit. And at the center of it all, the instigator, the organizer, the principal protagonist, Nana Oppong. He wasn't alone. Israr Shah, 39 years old, drove the Toyota Prius. Another accomplice, known only as Limo, Temetope Adeyinka, also played a role. But why? Why Robert Powell? The motive remains murky. A personal grievance, possibly drug-related, a dispute that escalated to murder. For Nana Oppong, this was familiar territory. Another body, another investigation. He'd walked free 4 times before. But this time was different. This time, there were surviving witnesses. This time, the forensics were overwhelming. This time, the evidence was undeniable. And Nana Oppong knew it. The Teflon coating was cracking. For the first time in his criminal career, he knew he couldn't beat this. So he did the only thing he could. He ran. Within days of the murder, Nana Oppong fled the United Kingdom. He sent messages to associates. "Bro, don't think I'm coming back." Then another. "I ain't doing no time, bro." No ambiguity, no plan to return. After 4 murder acquittals, the Teflon Don knew his luck had finally run out. Essex police issued a warrant, but Oppong was already gone. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The National Crime Agency stepped in. Nana Oppong was officially named one of the UK's most wanted fugitives. His face appeared on wanted posters. Interpol was notified. International law enforcement agencies were briefed. The net was tightening. But Oppong was resourceful. He'd evaded justice before. He knew how to disappear. He had connections, money, and a fake identity. A Maltese passport, a completely fabricated identity. On paper, Nana Oppong no longer existed. He traveled through Europe, crossed borders, made his way toward North Africa. His plan? Start a new life where British law couldn't touch him. But entering Morocco, border security conducted a routine inspection of a heavy goods lorry. Nothing unusual. Standard procedure. Until they checked the back, hidden among the cargo, trying to stay invisible, was a man. He presented his Maltese passport, the guards ran the documents, and then the system lit up. Interpol alert, UK warrant, wanted for murder. The man in the back of the lorry wasn't a Maltese citizen. He was Nana Oppong. Moroccan authorities detained him. The British government filed extradition papers. After months on the run, the Teflon Don's journey had ended. He was sent back to the United Kingdom, back to face justice, back to answer for Robert Powell's murder, and this time, there would be no escape. But not everyone was caught. Temetope Adeyinka, known as Limo, another key player in the operation, remains at large to this day. May 28, 2024, Woolwich Crown Court. The day of reckoning had finally arrived. Nana Oppong, now 43, 44 years old, walking into his 5th murder trial. But this time, everything felt different. The courtroom was packed. Media, victims' families, police officers who'd worked the case for years. Everyone knew this was the endgame. The charges were read: murder of Robert Powell, possession of a firearm with intent to endanger life, grievous bodily harm against 2 women, possession of a prohibited weapon, and one more charge, conspiracy to supply Class A drugs, a charge Oppong himself admitted to. Lead prosecutor Justin Rouse KC addressed the jury. His words were measured, precise, damning. Nana Oppong was the instigator, the protagonist, and the principal organizer of this execution. The evidence was overwhelming. CCTV footage, ballistic reports, the cloned plates, the 9mm Luger, witness testimony from the survivors, his own messages. "I ain't doing no time, bro." Consciousness of guilt, an admission of culpability. Beside him sat co-defendant Israr Shah, the driver of the Toyota Prius, another cog in the killing machine. For days, the prosecution methodically dismantled any possible defense. This wasn't circumstantial. This wasn't ambiguous. This was conclusive. The defense tried. They cross-examined witnesses, challenged forensics. But the evidence was bulletproof. Ironically, unlike Robert Powell. The jury retired to deliberate. 12 ordinary citizens holding the fate of a man who'd evaded justice for a quarter century. Hours passed. The courtroom waited. Oppong waited. For once in his life, unable to manipulate the outcome. And then, the call. The jury had reached their verdict. The courtroom filled once more. The room held its breath. 25 years of violence, 4 acquittals, 1 final question. Guilty on all counts: murder, firearms offenses, GBH, prohibited weapon. Israr Shah, also guilty. The Teflon coating had finally, completely shattered. May 31st, 2024, 3 days after the verdict, the court reconvened for sentencing. The judge took the bench. This was the moment victims' families had waited years for, the moment justice had pursued for decades. Victim impact statements were read. Robert Powell's family spoke of their loss, a father taken, a life cut short, pain that would never fully heal. The 2 women who survived spoke of their trauma, the nightmares, the fear, the bullets that nearly ended their lives. The judge addressed Nana Oppong directly, a man who'd terrorized communities for 25 years, who'd left bodies and broken families in his wake. Life imprisonment, minimum term before parole eligibility, 38 years. Oppong is 43 years old. 38 years from now, he'll be 81, 82, if he lives that long. Israr Shah received life imprisonment with a minimum of 32 years. He'll be in his 70s before he's even considered for release. As Oppong was led from the dock, the weight of those 38 years must have been crushing. No more trials, no more acquittals, no more freedom. Outside the courthouse, Essex police held a press conference. Officers who'd pursued this case for 4 years finally had their moment. Today marks the end of the Teflon Don. Justice has finally been served for Robert Powell and his family. Robert Powell's family left the courthouse. Justice achieved, but their loved one wasn't coming back. Victory, yes, but at what cost? Nana Oppong now resides in a maximum security prison. The streets of East London continue without him. The system crew dismantled. Temitope Adeyinka Limo remains at large. The investigation continues, but the mastermind is behind bars. The Teflon Don, a nickname that once symbolized invincibility. Now just a reminder that eventually everyone pays. 25 years, a quarter of a century, from December 1999 to May 2024, the criminal career of Nana Oppong. Let's look at the numbers. 5 murder trials, 4 acquittals or hung juries, 1 conviction, multiple victims, countless shattered families. Jeremiah Oke, Eugene Brown, Patrick Ford, Ashley Latty, Robert Powell, 5 names, 5 lives, 5 families forever changed. And that's just the dead. Survivors carry their wounds, physical and psychological, for the rest of their lives. But Oppong's case isn't just about one man's violence. It exposes fundamental cracks in the justice system. Witness intimidation. In gang cases, the code of silence is enforced with violence. Testify, and you might be next. Stay silent, and killers walk free. Hung juries. When even one or two jurors refuse to convict, whether from fear, doubt, or intimidation, the entire case collapses. Prosecuting organized crime is brutally difficult. These aren't impulsive crimes. They're calculated, planned, with layers of deniability built in. And here's the most chilling part. Every acquittal emboldened Oppong. Every hung jury reinforced his sense of invincibility. The system itself enabled the pattern. Think about what this meant for East London. For 25 years, a known violent criminal operated freely. How many crimes could have been prevented? And Oppong isn't unique. Across the UK, across the world, organized criminals exploit these exact weaknesses every single day. The question becomes, how do we protect witnesses? How do we fix hung jury issues? How do we stop the next Teflon Don before 25 years pass? As of today, Nana Oppong sits in a maximum security prison. No successful appeals, no legal loopholes, no escape. He'll be eligible for parole in 2062, 38 years from his conviction. He'll be an old man, if he makes it at all. Justice was delayed. 25 years delayed. But it was not denied. If this story impacted you, hit that like button. Subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into true crime. And drop a comment. Do you think the justice system needs reform to handle cases like this? I'm curious. Should there be limits on how many hung juries can derail a prosecution? Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. And remember, justice might be slow, but it's relentless.